Okay, so I just got done posting a bunch of stuff in regards to 141 and also how it connected to Obama and Trump and this judge theme that I've noticed. To just point out a few 141s again. This first judge that I noticed was in the media on November 6th, 11/6, whatever. She was shot. Her name adds up to 141. It was also 14 weeks, 1 day before Scalia died. June 11th, which is 6/11, 6/11, whatever. June 11th equals 141. I talked about Donald Trump being compared to Biff Tannen, whatnot. Also, Back to the Future is just significant in general. Tons of stuff in regards to Back to the Future as we just got done with 2015. So now the coding has kind of moved on to the third movie, but plutonium equals 141. That's what they use for the time travel, or the gas for time travel. Also World War III and Age of Aquarius. And then I talked about Garland getting nominated on the 141st day of the NBA season, which is also just so happens to be Back to the Future Day and whatnot. But anyway, with this Dubai plane crash in Russia, or whatever, just some interesting numbers, want to point them out. There's a lot of 141 involved in it. So, like I said, I really didn't look that much more into it, but we've also been seeing these 62s in its mirror, 36, anything in regards to 6, and the multiples of 6 have been in the news like crazy. But we have 62 people that died on this plane. The article then goes on to mention that the flights are being redirected 141 miles south to the city of Krasnodar. Krasnodar also interesting because it equals 101 in gematria. The 26th prime is 101. Also 38, the small way in regards to death and whatnot. But also Krasnodar, Russia, then, if you write that out, it equals 62. Just like the amount of people that are on the plane that died and whatnot. The big way, it equals 188, which I mentioned goes along with the Philadelphia train wreck. It was called the Northeast Regional number 188, I believe. There's a whole bunch of other stuff with that. June 26, 626, leaves 188 days left in the year. So also interesting, 141, so. Even as you read here on Wikipedia, it says, at 1:41 local time, the aircraft aborted its first landing attempt in poor visibility. So it aborted its first landing attempt at 1:41. I mean, just interesting that they would even write that in there. It was called Flight 981, which equals 151, a number I mentioned over and over for months now. I also mentioned it in the last video and how it connects to the 99 stuff, also the 1551 stuff in regards to Trump and Obama. Trump says that he was Batman. Batman equals 51. The two judges, or all of the judges or whatever, Julie Kokorek equals 51. Antonin Scalia equals 51. Donald Trump is 15 years, 51 days older than Barack Obama. Tons of other stuff. See the previous video, please. It'll make more sense. If you just write out 981, it equals 116 and 224. I also just talked about all these 116s in the story. Literally, I mean, this lady died or got shot on November 6th, 116. Obama nominated Merrick Garland on March 3rd, which is 16-3. The 163rd day is June 11th, 6/11. They even showed Obama when he nominated him. CNN even showed him doing it at 11:06. They gave us a 1-minute video. 1 minute equals 116. Tons of 116 stuff. Also in the CNN article about this plane, they make sure to mention that the plane, it was on March 19th at 1:20 a.m. in Russia, but it was also 6:20 Eastern time here. I mean, they don't do that very often, but they wanted you to know that for whatever the reason. I mean, interesting. In numerology, you don't use the zero, so literally 620 would be a 62. But also, if you go from the date that there was the last Russian plane story that was big in the news was on Halloween. If you go from that day to March 19th, the day of this one, it was a span of 141 days. And that includes the end date, which I'll actually explain a little bit at the end of this video. I've been doing a lot of switching the end dates and whatnot because I noticed a lot of things sync up when you connect it with the end date, which I don't usually do, but you'll see why it's significant at the end of the video here. Or actually, it's right here at the bottom anyway. End date in Gematria equals 26. End date included, like this website says, equals 62. I mean, just how crazy is that? All these stories involving the 62, 26. I've noticed tons of them where I change the end date and they have connections to 26 and 62. Anyway, also if you go from March 19th, the day of this plane crash, to May 20th, which May 20th this year is the 141st day of the year. It's a span of 62 days. So super interesting. Lots of 141 and 62 in the story. Also 2 months, 1 day. If you read out the word 21, it equals 141. 62 people died on the plane. So anyway, gonna leave it at that. I mean, I even noticed another story on CNN. I think it was the same day. Rockford Files actor dies equals one. Rockford Files equals 141. Some of these other numbers I've noticed in regards to other things. So just interesting. Another 141. And yeah, you know, I guess gonna leave it at that. I could look more into it. I'm sure there's a lot more that will eventually spark my brain and it'll come back to this or whatever. But have a good one.